Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the ancient world, back to a time of grand empires and cosmic mysteries. We're talking about Babylonia, a civilization that gave us so much, from written laws to incredible architecture. But did you know that their gaze towards the heavens wasn't just about farming or religion? It was a powerful tool of war. That's right, the Babylonians were using astronomy to plan their military campaigns, turning starlight into a strategic advantage thousands of years ago. So, how exactly did they do it? Let's break it down. The Babylonian heartland, in what is now modern-day Iraq, was defined by its two great rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. This landscape had a huge impact on life, and especially on warfare. The most important factor was the seasonal flooding. Every spring, snowmelt from the mountains would cause the rivers to swell, turning the plains into a muddy, impassable swamp. You simply couldn't move a large army, with its soldiers, supply wagons, and siege equipment, through that kind of terrain. It would be a logistical nightmare. An army stuck in the mud is a vulnerable army. So, launching a campaign during the flood season was out of the question. The ideal time for war was after the floods receded and the ground had dried, but before the scorching heat of deep summer set in, which would drain the energy of their soldiers. This created a specific campaign season. The big question for Babylonian kings and generals was, when exactly does this window open? Guessing wrong could spell disaster for an entire military operation before it even began. This is where their mastery of the skies comes in. The Babylonians were meticulous astronomers. For centuries, their priests and scribes stood on top of their massive ziggurats, night after night, charting the movements of the stars and planets. They created incredibly detailed star catalogs and diaries, recording the rising and setting of specific constellations and celestial events. They weren't just stargazing for fun, this was state-sponsored science. They knew the sky was a giant, reliable clock. They noticed that the movements of the celestial bodies were directly linked to the changing of the seasons on Earth. For example, they could observe the rising of a specific constellation, let's say the Pleiades, just before sunrise, and know that the flood season was approaching. Conversely, when other constellations appeared in the pre-dawn sky, it signaled that the waters were receding and the land was becoming firm enough for travel. These astronomical observations were far more accurate than just looking at the weather or guessing. They could predict the start and end of the flood season with remarkable precision, weeks or even months in advance. This gave them a huge strategic edge. A Babylonian king could consult his royal astronomers and say, "Tell me when the land will be ready for my army." The astronomers would look at their charts, observe the heavens, and provide a date. This meant the king could plan his campaigns with confidence. He could mobilize his troops, gather supplies, and prepare his chariots, knowing exactly when to march. This wasn't just about avoiding the mud, it was about timing. They could launch their attacks at the perfect moment, catching their enemies off guard, perhaps while their own lands were still waterlogged or their harvests weren't yet collected. They could ensure their supply lines would be secure on dry roads. This celestial knowledge allowed for long-term strategic planning that was simply unavailable to their less astronomically inclined neighbors. It transformed warfare from a reactive gamble into a calculated, pre-planned science. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember the Babylonians. They saw more than just twinkling lights. They saw a divine calendar, a strategic map, and a timetable for conquest. Their ability to read the stars gave them a powerful weapon, proving that for the ancients, knowledge of the cosmos was truly power. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what other ancient mysteries you'd like us to explore. See you in the next video.